Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and I welcome us to the Get Finance and Investment Tips webinar series. And today we'll be discussing from confusion to clarity, understanding investing and the best sectors for 2026. I hope we had a very wonderful Sunday, and we're also going to make this as interactive as possible. So while we're waiting for others to join within the next 1 minute, there's a poll that I would be launching now, just to get our views as I commence this. Just a minute. Okay, so I want us to look at the poll just for the first question. Which best describe your current investment journey? So just for the first question. So I can see 2 people already. So let's just focus on the first question, please. So this just for a minute. So I'm hoping to get. Okay, so we can see I invest regularly but want clarity. Leading. I've started but still confused. That's the second one. So between I invest regularly but want clarity and I've started but still confused. Okay, so this is helpful. The ending the poll, share the results. So we can see from the results, I invest regularly but want clarity, and I've started but still confused. So this is one of the main reasons for setting up this. Yeah, so we just proceed. So I welcome us once more. And before I start, I would like to always remind us of our vision in this community, Get Finance and Investment Tips community. Our vision is to build a financially empowered community where individuals develop a strong investment mindset, achieve financial freedom, and create lasting wealth for future generations. So that's what drives us. That's the mandate that we have to build financially empowered people. So one of the objectives that we'll set out today for the webinar is, first of all, you need to understand why investing matters. We need to learn the simplest investing strategies, know what to buy and how many stocks to hold. We'll also identify sectors to watch in 2026 and how you can invest confidently in Nigeria and the US markets. So I just like to start with this, but I'll be very brief with this, given that what we know, we all understand what a stock is. A stock is you are buying ownership of a company, and that constitutes a claim or a portion on the assets. So the first thing is that we need to understand that you are trying to buy ownership of a company. So if you are going to buy a stock, you need to first of all think, will I be very happy to be part of this company? Or why am I trying to put money in this company? So if you are able to answer those questions, sometimes it will help you to minimize the risk that you take at times. It's really very important that we know the reason. We are investors. We are trying to build wealth. So there's no emotions. I recall those days. Um, like my parents are really very emotionally attached to First Bank shares, for instance, that if you are advising, I've seen investors advising them to sell First Bank shares is like you're asking them to part away with their pets. You know how that can be very painful, but it is investment. No sentiment should be involved. You must be sure that you are getting value from whichever company that you want to be part of. That's really very key, and that will keep guiding us. So why do you now invest in stocks? We've seen over time that it is stocks that can help you beat inflation. Last year, the market returned about 51%. That doesn't mean that year on year, it's able to beat inflation. But what we have seen, even during high inflation rates, companies are able to increase their earnings, they're able to raise their prices, and they are still able to deliver, apart from general recession, grow wealth. We want to build wealth. Some of the shares will be giving you what we call capital appreciation. You bought shares at you bought shares at $1 and it's now $2, or you bought at 10 naira is now 20 naira. So you are buying to continue to build wealth. So we've seen people buy shares over a long time, use it for projects, build houses. Some sent their kids to school. Some, they at the end of their retirement, the dividend is even enough to take care of them. So it is to grow wealth. And our focus is even building generational wealth. We don't want that building of that wealth to stop at our own point. We are building for the future. So when you start thinking about that, you won't be buying junks. You won't be buying companies that you already know. You don't even understand what they are doing. When you are growing wealth, you are buying companies that you know you can hand over, you can put in your will, you can use for project and sell in the future. And dividends, this is very key. And even when sometimes I try to benchmark for me as individuals to benchmark to PFAs, what are the rules they are the PENCOM authorities, asset managers pick to guide their selection of stocks? For instance, PENCOM forbids that the pension fund administrator invest in companies that don't pay dividend 3 out of 5 years. That is part of the control that they have put in place. So if your portfolio is just after capital appreciation, it means you are running a risk. So if those that even understands the market, there are controls that they've put in place, you must be able to be for the purpose of earning dividend. Own businesses, you want to be part of it. I recall those that bought Seplat at about less than 6-7 years ago at 300, let's say 300 naira, 500 naira, for instance. They see it as a business. When you check their portfolio, sometimes you get shocked by the value. Maybe some of them had just 1,000 units, then 3,000 units, then or 10,000 units. When you see the value now, so you are part of it, then achieve financial independence. And this is true. In Nigeria, most times all these things are not taught in school. When you look at developed economy, it's also part of courses that they also teach them how to build wealth to achieve financial independence. So learning it now, yes, we know it's better late than never. So it helps to achieve financial independence. When we see some of the retirees, when they come to the office, those days when they bring out the certificates of their shares, now there's no certificate. You have everything in CSCS. They sell to achieve a certain purposes that they want, and you see that they want to travel. I know people that they have set up shares. What they use it for when they want to enjoy themselves, go for summer, it is the dividend or is the capital appreciation. of the shares. As I've seen people also set target from themselves. This is January. Yes, I need to travel with my family in September. What can I do? This 10 million naira, this 50 million naira, how much? It is only the income that they have that determines where they will go for that year. And in a very good year, they can travel to whichever country they want to. And I've seen people set up funds. I have a close pastor. He has a dedicated portfolio. It is a dividend from that portfolio that he used to support ministries, do what he wants. So it's really very key. Achieving this financial independence is also very, very important. I'm going to dedicate at least 45 minutes for questions and answers. So, and that's why I'm trying to be a bit fast. But please, if you think that I'm too fast, you can also drop a note so that I can also slow down. Yeah. So first of all, we need to first understand these two markets, the Nigerian US market, Nigerian market and the US market. The Nigerian stock market, for instance, the price it moves, there's a cap. They've already put it that market, you can't wake up and market will gain above 10%, and you can't also wake up and discover that market will go below 10%. That's which helps to control the volatility in the market. Most companies in Nigeria, they know if they don't pay dividend, they are always punished for it. That is really very important. If they don't pay dividend, they know that they are always punished for it. So you will see that most companies in Nigeria would pay dividend. And for them, we've seen in the last 3 years, we have not been very susceptible to global shocks. So that really helps significantly. But when you look at the US market, for instance, it is highly volatile. So you can't use the same strategy that you use for the Nigerian market to also trade in the US market. You can't be the way you buy growth stocks in the Nigerian market is not the same way you buy growth stocks in the US market. I've bought stocks that have lost in minutes, can lose 100%. They place it on the first time, they freeze maybe first, second, after 10 minutes, release it. It keeps going down. And I've also bought shares that within 30 minutes gain 200%. You will see the risk. It is and that is why part of what we will learn, how do you structure your portfolio in the US market? And that's why a lot of people don't want to touch that US market because of that volatility. But there are ways that you can also play it. Once you understand how the market plays, once you understand it, that really would help you to position. You can't just be buying any shares. You just go online, you see different news, read about it, and you just go and pick those shares without understanding their performance over time. So it's really very important that we should note that. And also for the US, it helps us for Nigerians that invest in dollars. It also helps to protect you from any depreciation of the naira. It protects you. When you look at the US market, there are several strong ETFs, but it is always good to backtest. When I say backtest the performance of the ETFs, see how they have performed over years. So you would see that in the community, most of the ETFs that I try to bring to us, because knowing that a lot of people are just also learning, most of what I try to bring to us are things that I've looked at the last 20 years. What have been their performance? The last 50 years, looking at how even when there are major economic shocks, how did they perform after that particular year? So it's important that you do, but it's good to have both. I would say maybe you have more of Nigerian stocks and less of US stocks, depending on your strategy and depending on your understanding. But what we try to also do in the community is to make the job easier for you, which is one of the reasons we are holding this webinar, that we're not just saying buy this, sell this, buy this. You understand a bit of why we're asking you to buy, how the market works. For those that have been in the community, you would have seen some things when we say don't chase stocks. Sometimes it works out, but it can be painful when it doesn't work out. When stocks are consolidating, some of those things are things that we'll look at as we progress. So you would see the methodology, the science is almost the same. And when you are able to follow it, some people have mastered that. Some people, they get so excited when market is coming down because they've seen that no matter how low the market will go, it will definitely bounce back if you buy a good company. So some of those strategies have helped define a lot of people that invest in this market. So, and if we are going to this now going into some of the simple steps to start investing, you need to understand the basics, which is what we are doing. Learn about the stock market. You know, over the year, when you look at the period, part of what we painfully try to do, and yes, it's the excitement is that seeing people also taking action. Part of what we try to do is to provide information each time about the market, the direction, and and if you are very deliberate and consistent about reading some of those posts, can bet you in 6 months you would have more understanding about the market. And that is what I want us to do. Yes, we've created, you know, when you are on different groups, we're over 5,000 in total, and we're on different groups. I think about 6 groups now, and we have 4 communities. We've intentionally just post. I'm the only one that have access to post on the announcement page, and people can reply and comment on it. Fine. To help you not mix up some of this information with the general post in the group. The general post in the group also helps because some of the things I try to put together at times is based on questions that maybe from 1-2 groups they have been asking, and I try to go back and see how I can break this thing down for us to also read and understand. You need to have your goal. When you are are you investing for a project? Are you investing for retirement? Are you investing for a trip? You need to set up that. Then open a stock brokerage account. So you can't say you are really interested in investing in stocks and you don't have a stock broking account. Even if you don't have that confidence to start now, it is really important that you have a stock broking account so that when you start gradually, like I said, number 4, you start gradually. I would never ask you to start big if you are just coming in. You know, all these things are also relative. Some people maybe have investment of 100 million. I can say, okay, start with 5 million, which is like 5%. When they begin to see they move it to 10%, depending on also their age. Some you have investment of 10 million, or you have investment total portfolio of 100,000. I can say start with 5,000, and over time, that would also help you to build confidence even as you progress. So it's really important that we need to also note that. So I think I just want to quickly raise another poll for us. Let me just to get our view even as I progress. Just a minute. Let me just get our view. So I'm checking if I hope we are following. Hello. Please, I hope, are we following?
Yes,
Yes,
we
sir.
are.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We're following, sir.
Okay. So
Yes.
okay, so this poll that I'm launching now, I would like to get
Yes, sir, we are following.
okay, thank you. Sorry, just a minute.
Following, sir.
Sorry, trying to get the question to launch. Okay, so please, can we just, I would like to know this first question, which of this market do you currently invest in? So I think I'll just run it for a minute. Okay, just to also save time, we can also fill the second question. So, okay, both Nigeria and US, 51%. Nigeria only about 49%. So it still means most people invest in both, but more people in the Nigerian markets. Okay. And looking at the second one, moderate. Okay, interesting. Balanced growth, conservative, have a few aggressive, and 12% unsure. Sorry, one more minute before we progress. Okay, so I think thanks. This is about 95, almost 64% participation. Thank you so much. So I'm ending the poll. So let me share the results. So currently we have at least over 50% invest in both markets. That's interesting. And 37% invest only in the Nigerian market. 2% just in the US alone. Yeah, so I think that's understandable. And most of us between balanced and aggressive. Interesting. High growth, high risk. That is interesting. So this also to help, by the time I also analyzing, it also shows help to let us know our investment appetite even in the community. Yeah, so when we are going back looking at the strategies, when you look at the strategies, long-term investing. So if when you look at based on the poll, a lot of people are balanced. So you know that part of what you need to do is that long-term investing is also very important. You know, one thing about the equities market is always very unlikely to get it wrong if you have long-term perspective. You know, I've seen people approach me, I have this money, and please, what can you give me that within the next 1 month, 2 months, that can easily make return? Stock market is not for that because it can be unpredictable. For some of us, at least by the time we moved to this community, it's over a year now, we have seen different cycles, even in the 1 year. And you know, some of the group will get more active than the other. You would see periods when market is down, how people feel so down, so bad. And that's sometimes I try that period. I even try to write more to encourage people. So you are not demoralized that this is how the market is. So when market is also up, it's also my duty to let you know that don't get carried away because we've seen these cycles, almost 20 years in this market. We've seen how markets can go so up, down. The trend we are seeing this year is similar to what we saw last year. It looks like I was telling some people that for us that are fundamentalists, sometimes it looks like, what are you saying? This stock that I saw, you said I shouldn't buy it, it has done 100%. But we've seen that trend. When the market would also turn, it's most of these stocks. So if you don't understand the strategy, so it's not bad investing in those stocks. But if you don't understand your strategy and you go into some of those stocks, you end up holding the bag. That means that when people have made money, you are the one holding those stocks at a loss. So always have that long term so that you also not be forced to sell at a loss, you know, because markets can be unpredictable at times. If you have that 3-month target and that stock is down significantly within that period, it doesn't mean that that stock will not go up again. But the period you need to take out that money, it is down. Then you will be forced to sell at a loss. And that will leave a very bitter taste in your mouth that this your market self, this your market self. We don't understand how you people do it. We have lost a lot of money. So long-term investing is important. Dollar cost averaging. So when we say dollar cost averaging is that you are buying your dollar cost average on stocks that you believe in. Like I would say, if you were confident to buy GT Bank, for instance, at 100, and the stock, there was a time it came to 80, and perhaps maybe you also have funds, you should be more confident. And these are some of the psychology of the market. You should be more confident to buy at 80. If you cannot buy it at 80, you cannot buy it at 50. Don't bother to buy at 100. It means that if you ask yourself, why did you buy at 100? You didn't even believe in the first place that this stock is worth 100 naira. Because if it's worth 100 naira to you, when you see it at a discount, sometimes use promo price. It means you should be buying more if you have the funds or you have extra funds. And that is why for our monthly buy, you would see towards the end of the month, I disturb us a lot, reminding us about setting something aside. It's not just about the stock market, but I know this is the most technical part of investing. That's why we discuss stocks a lot, but other forms of investment is also important. You should be able to, when you are buying on a monthly basis, it helps you to also normalize. And there's something we used to tell ourselves. If, let's assume I'm supposed to buy this month and I discover that GT Bank is 50 naira, I'm using it for example, and maybe monthly, what I do is $10,000. 10,000 naira. And I have the opportunity to put 50,000 naira. It means that we call it front load. Sorry, I hope you can see. Don't worry, I'm also a part lecturer, so that's why I like to write. Yeah, so you front load it. So you are buying 6 months ahead. 6 months ahead. And I may not buy for the next 6 months because the market will not always remain down. So I've spent 50,000 naira, for instance. That means based on my allocation to stocks, it's supposed to be 10,000 naira. But I see that market is unreasonably cheap this period. You can, and if you don't have the funds, wait for that period when you have the funds and you continue. Diversification is also key. Okay, I think I missed this. Buy on pullback. And I also had consolidation. So you see, for instance, now, Dangote Cement is looking so demoralizing, discouraging. It's consolidating. Everybody is trying to ignore, maybe they see that it's not moving up. But the day it now moves from this current level and moves to almost 800, it is that day that some people now want to buy and now asking, can I buy? You have been seeing it's not been moving, and we know it's a strong company. When you see stocks that are strong, companies that are strong, consolidating means they are trading within the same level. If it's at 620, you see that they've been trading the same level. Those that followed MTN from almost 200 naira, this time last year, MTN was 200 naira. You would see moves from 200, it moves to 250 or moves to 300, comes back to 250, consolidates at 250, moves to 400, comes back to 300. You would see that method that is also how the market works, even in the US. So always target pullbacks. When you see, when stocks are on fast lane, at that point, it's almost 50-50. So when you're asking me, and that's how I would say, because it's unpredictable. If it has already moved, the best you can do is maybe you buy small, but it can turn the other way around. We saw what happened to gold and silver. It was so tempting, even for me, but I was sticking to my principle that This has already run. We don't know when, but it is always certain there will be a pullback. So always target it. It can be very tempting, and you see a stock, you see that it has moved 200% non-stop. Sometimes it happens, but imagine that you are not patient and you buy at 200% up and it comes down by 100%. You have lost capital that you can use to invest. And that is why it's important that you also always note that diversification is also very key. You'll be used to the phrase of don't put all your eggs in one basket. And this is, if a stock will blow up your portfolio, means that will rubbish all the returns, maybe even if the rest are doing 50% up, and one that is down will bring down the entire portfolio. It's important that you need to note it, that your portfolio is not balanced. You need to understand, and we will see some of those things. Risk management cannot be overemphasized, and these are some of the things we'll look at as we progress today. So, knowing what to buy. Firstly, because if you are new to the market, you need to buy when you are starting. Buy with stocks that have strong fundamentals. That's not is a new terrain. We say even you need to test. We say test the waters. You are just new. That's not the time to be buying stocks that you don't even understand what they do. Start with the strong stocks and try to start to see how you understand the market. How do you know those strong stocks? Simple thing is, for Nigeria, they always pay dividend. In the US, the best way to look at it is they're always market leaders. So when you go to a particular sector, look at what their leaders, for them to be market leaders, it means they have gone through a lot of cycles and they understand the market. They have market share is significant. Even if there's a major shock, they will be able to withstand it. So you need to see that revenue growth is also important. This period, a lot of earnings have been released, but we need to note most of the earnings we have seen this period are unaudited based on the rule. There was a post I did on that. You can check. They are unaudited. Why? Is that the rule says that you can release your results, unaudited results, within the first 30 days. While you are auditing, I will give you 2-month grace. By end of March, you should have the audited. But if you don't want to use that option, don't release unaudited. But before end of February, release audited. That's where you see for most of the banks, for most of the most solid companies, will wait to release their audited by end of February, so that that's when they can also declare dividend. You see from all the results that we've seen so far, because they are unaudited, none of them has declared any dividend. You can't declare dividend until the auditors have gone through your books. Revenue growth, and that's what when you check those results, you'll see that their revenue, some have grown by 50%, 100%. So you just check, even if you don't want to do analysis, check what's their revenue and check what their profit is. Is their profit growing? You don't want to buy a company that the profit is down. We saw what First Bank, yes, a lot of explanation around First Bank. They've tried to make provisions, but it means that without provision for a year, for the shareholders that have been hoping to get dividend, it means there's nothing for them for that year. So good governance is always very key. There are some stocks that when I see some major people investing in it, I try to either reduce my exposure or just take advantage of the rally and I stay away, because I've seen how consistently they try to blow up prices of those stocks. So it's not about fundamentals, it's about the personality and what they want to achieve with those stocks. When I see that, I try to avoid it as much as I can. Yes, some has delivered for some people, but I always say it's those that will lose money that don't forget easily. We saw what happened with the Geregu, for instance. I made money. I bought it the first week. Used within 1 week, I left it, and I moved on to other things. But some people are already stuck now. It's not as liquid as it used to be, and always look at their long-term story. So also you are buying you need to open your stock, your brokerage account, fund your account, start with strong stock and buy small. Then you need to track your performance. So these things, if you are still new, don't just buy and someone is asking you what's happening to that stock and you don't know. I'm not saying track on a daily basis. It can be monthly because you are not buying to sell. So, but you need to at least always track. You need to always track your portfolio well. So also people always ask, how many stocks do you think I should have in my portfolio? At the beginning, for Nigerian market, because we don't have the total stock we have in Nigerian market is about 200. So most times, if you are starting, maybe you start with 5 or 8, you would see that I always want to start with 5. Some people will say, okay, I have 10K. I'll say, okay, do 2K, 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 2K. So that you spread it. Some people because that diversification is key. If you pick 5 good stocks, you are sure that minimum 3 out of 5 will perform well. But if you pick the probability of performance, if a major shock happens, it can affect the result. And as you grow, sometimes you cannot increase it. You have they have more funds and you are seeing maybe you want to take some advantage of some growth stocks. So when we're buying CWG, it was less than 10 naira, Charms. These are growth stocks, have opportunities and tips. Thanks to those in the community, they were very insistent and asking me to look at it, and we can see what they've done. Those that even bought the public offer has done over 100%. So you look at that, and as you grow, the US market has more stocks, so your portfolio will be larger for US market, for instance, apart from the ETFs that you would introduce to it. So now, profit taking. So, part of what I did was some of the questions that I've also been receiving, I try to create slides so that I'm also explaining even most of these things I've done post on them. But I thought to also just hint on some of those things. If you are buying, so when we say profit taking, you will always say, I say, take some profits, some profits. If you discover that a stock has rallied significantly, so you think that, okay, this stock, I'm buying it for long term, and suddenly you wake up, you've seen 100%, 120%, very fast. You see, it's not like it's moving over 1 year. You see that within 3 weeks, within 4 weeks, it has moved significantly. It's always good. Maybe you've put 20,000 naira there, and you wake up, you see that it's now 40,000. Depending, this now varies because some people 40,000 in their portfolio is like 0.0%. Some people is like 5%. Some people is like 20%. If you know it's significant in your portfolio, nothing stops you from saying, let me even see whether this profit is real on a lighter note and just sell 10,000 naira worth of it and keep. But if it's a growth stock, you know that growth stocks carries higher risk. Then you try to protect again. You can take 20,000. Say out see Briscoe since last year that we have been in it is done over 100% now. And I was saying, okay, take some profit. It doesn't mean it cannot move to 10 naira in the long term, but it's just in case it pulls back. Most times, 80 out of 100, market will pull back. 8 out of 10, market will always pull back before it moves up again. It doesn't move one direction and keeps going up. So you can sell if you pull back, Ella Lakes, I used to be a major fan of Ella Lakes. At 3 naira, will be recommended at the community. It got to almost 20 naira, and now I think it's at 13 naira. But I'm not comfortable with it. My entry level would be at 10. But if you are looking at long time, you may not also bother. But always try to take profit. You don't need permission. I know some of the mentors that I follow in the stock market say you don't need permission to take profit. You see, you have made a lot of money. Take some profit, protect it. This gain, there's difference between paper gain. I can tell you in 2007, then all my money, bonuses, anything, it was just stocks. I was putting them. Every time I'll be carrying the Excel around, seeing my portfolio move in 2007. But when the crash came, it came so hard. So we've seen it. Paper profit is different. Then you say, oh, look at my portfolio. Don't worry, I get my car from there. I'll buy a land. People were so excited. But when the crash came, everything, some people were even owing because we also had margin loans then. So seeing all this, always do that. When you see the valuation is overstretched, you see that even with the results, okay, this stock has gained 200% as their revenue increased, or you hear that there's a policy that weakens their fundamentals. So it's also good that we also note that, and you try to just sell and never sell all, except if it's a growth stock that you know you're speculating and you see you have made a lot of money, you can sell and move on, no attachment. But you still believe in that stock, don't sell all because it can keep moving. And if it's a strong stock, there's no point. If you don't need money now, there's no need to sell all. We saw in 1 year, then I would say MTN rather moved by over 100%. There's no point selling all your MTN. This is a good stock. This year, they will make trillions. We're all using data here. I'm sure over 50% are using MTN lines. So, and you can see how how the market will react to it. It's also important that we also look at, don't worry, we'll get into that sector. I will still looking at the time, but also trying to explain how the market works. You see, like it seems like a regular market. So we all have different intention where we see all of us. Okay, I think I'll answer that later. Yeah, so you see most times we have the intention. For me, as Ayo, for instance, and I'm saying I think GTB is worth 90. Someone is saying, no, I think GTB, Mama Asa is there, one of our very energetic member. Said, you say, okay, she may say it's worth 80, for instance. She will go and put our limit price at 80. I go to the market, I feel I want to buy at 90. When the seller comes, who is the first person they will see? Is the person that is selling at 70, at 90, that they would see first, and they sell to me. So that people can go to the market and you may not even buy anything on that day. Why? Because nobody is willing to meet you at the price. So you will see the buyer wants to buy at the lowest price. The seller wants to sell at the highest price. It's like same thing like markets. And there's a minimum unit that the share price can change. It's 100,000 units. So most times when stocks transactions are happening, even if it's 90,000 per time, you will discover that maybe you bought at 420 and markets closed at 400, for instance, or closed at 500, for instance. That's like the closing price, but the actual price that will be different because it's until someone comes to transact at 500 before price will move. We saw NAPO towards the end of the market on Friday, it's been at 114. You say I mastered the price at 114, just stay there at 114. Transactions are happening. But when by the time market we saw people volumes that was towards the end of market, and we discovered that it closed at 120. He established a new price because over 100,000 units were traded at once, the market. So you will need to understand that so that you won't have also be sending emails to your broker. What's happening? Why did you buy for me at 420 when market actually closed at 400? When you also understand that. Then building strong foundation, I think I've spoken a bit about this, and I will just touch here on the dollar cost averaging, trying to just explain it. Because that dollar cost averaging is always very tough for you to miss it. Most time you'll be used to some phrase. I say buy gradually. Buying gradually means that you are just picking up the shares. You have 1 million in your account today. You think that prices are low, you buy with 200,000 naira. And sometimes you just buy one off. You don't have the time. Just buy one off. If it's a good stock, you buy and you move on. But if you know it's a growth stock and you just want to speculate, you can't just buy at once because you may not be able to maximize the upside. If the market pulls back, for instance, you won't be able to enjoy that upside. You should still have funds to buy more. Gold, when we also, I said for those that could not resist the temptation, just buy small. Now it's lost close to about 20%. If you are now scared to buy now, that is gone down more than 20%, silver more than 30%, then why were you so excited and eager to buy at over 100, at over 5,000? So those are some of the things. It's not very easy. It's easier to say, but the principles, when you see that things have gone up, ask yourself, if it pulls back, will you be able to buy? Warren Buffett, that's why I would say that if you are not willing to hold anything for 10 years, don't bother to see you want to hold it for 5 minutes. It's really important when you're dealing in stocks. So strategies for long-term wealth. First thing is buy and hold for good companies. You keep accumulating. Most times I always talk for my kids when I check their portfolio. There are stocks that are doing 1,000% because it's over 10 years. There's even in the US market, there are some stocks that, yes, I'm doing a study on, trying to do a study on some particular sector, and I just put a certain amount on 10 stocks. Some of those stocks, some of them have done, and it's a 5-year study, has done 1,000%. Some have done 700%. Buying to hold. If you are building wealth, buying to hold. When you see the opportunity moved up, yes, you can sell a little. If it comes down, you buy more. But it has also been proven, studies have been done. Those that buy and hold, and some of these things I say is that you can fact check them online. They actually do better. I know someone that said there's one portfolio that it doesn't have access to real time, and there's one he has access to it. The one he has access to, once he sees it has gained, he quickly sells, hoping to buy back. The one he doesn't have access to has done well. He's seen 100%, because he has to call the broker to sell that one. But this other one, once he sees again, he sells. So that long term is always better to hold and to build it. If you are buying speculative stocks, fine. When you see it as gain, you can always sell. Focus on total return. Most times, return is about capital appreciation and dividend. That is what delivers the total return. You should also need to review and rebalance your portfolio. Because some stocks has gained significantly, you may see that you are skewed towards a particular sector. You may sell part of that sector or sell part of that particular stock. Sorry, excuse me. You may sell it Also, diversification is key. I've spoken about that, so I won't, because of our time, so we can get to some of those sectors that we're looking at. We're going to look at. So list limit order, maybe in just 1 minute, limit order and market order. The limit order, most times it helps you to get at the price. That means you have checked the stock, you have checked the market. You think that you don't want to buy GTB above 99 naira. You place it at a limit, or you want to even buy it at 95. Sometimes you see, because people come to the market with different intention. They may want to just sell. They put market order, they want to sell 2 million units. They just sell it at once. And if you have killed at 95, you just be surprised that while you are doing your work, someone has supplied you at 95, and eventually it may close back at 99. You see that happen. So you can put your limit order if you are not very aggressive or you are not very keen in getting that particular stock. And market order, you don't also have the time, because I also do it sometimes. Maybe I see an opportunity, I'm going into a meeting, I just buy right away because I may not have the time to be checking the price, adjusting the limit price, and I need to buy that stock. Maybe I have some information. So what you need to know, there are some stocks that I may have private information on. There are some stock I may have maybe privileged information. What I try to do is I can't tell you directly that this is what is happening. I may just put out something about that stock and asking you to take some action. Because sometimes some of those street information we have at times, sometimes they are true, sometimes they may not be very true. But because of the position that we hold, we can't just give you that direct information. But we try that, yes, this is a community that we cherish and we want everybody to do well. So we guide and send you those information for you to make informed decision, do your own further research, and sometimes you may even have that information yourself. But at least will help corroborate that. I think I've spoken about bid offer. Bid, you always see that when you check the order book, the person trying to buy is bidding, people offering, people that are trying to sell. Is when that happens, when a transaction happens, when two parties agree to sell. Sometimes they adjust. Someone that was at 100, someone at 90, they may come and agree at 95, like a market. So if you are building, let's say your first portfolio, for instance, you need to ensure that you have strong stock. So what I try to do, this is a sample Nigerian stock portfolio that, let's say, is 10,000 you have. You have been asking, what can I do? What should I? You have 10,000 naira. You can model this: GT Bank, Zenith, MTN, Aradel, Dangote Cement for a start, and maybe keep some cash or spread. If you don't need the cash and you have cash in other things, you can just spread your money in those 5 stocks and start your journey, because that is also very important. I can tell you the stock market builds wealth. It's been proven over time. We call it transfer of wealth. The stock market is the place where they transfer wealth from the impatient to the patient investors. You would see, if you understand this market, some of us were hoping that even market will come down someday and you take advantage. Those that understood the market in 2020, 2021, they bought significantly. Now they have reduced their exposure because they've made 200%, 300%. Imagine Zenith Bank was at 10 naira then. That's 700% if you bought then. So even if you have sold half of it and you are gone back to fixed income, waiting for the year, because it's a cycle. In economics, we know there's recession, there's time for boom. It will come. Market has been very active in the last 3 years. We don't know whether within the next 2 years there will be a bust again. So always have that mindset. But with our monthly buy, with our monthly position, that mindset, you buy more in that period. You reduce a bit of your fixed income and you buy more shares because you are seeing them at promo prices, at cheap prices. So it's important that we know that. Also, in the US market, you would see that I'm putting ETF at 40%. If you don't have mind, you cannot play the US market. Don't deceive yourself. If you go and overexpose yourself, you will get points. So look at stocks that you understand. So ETFs have done the analysis in the last 5 years. VOO, which is one of the ETFs, has returned about 15%. Has done about 15% return in the last 5 years. Even those that if you do QQQ, is done at least average of 13 to 14% in the last 5 years. So if I'm earning 15% in dollars, by the time in 5 years, and by the time I had the devaluation, I'll be up over 100%. And you look at the mega tech companies, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, I call them, go and search on the Magnificent Seven. I've done, I think about 1 week ago, Magnificent Seven. These stocks, they continue to deliver. You buy them and it will add to your portfolio. Growth stocks, even if you are very conservative, you can ignore growth stocks, but don't let it be a major proportion. I posted, was it 2 days ago or yesterday, to show us how those growth stocks, some of them losing 15% in 1 day. You need to note that, and you also need to just have cash. So now these are some of the resources. So now let's focus and wrap up with some of the sectors, because which part of what we are from, some of the sectors you think and why we think that they will do well. The banking and financial services, firstly, they have not benefited at all from all this rally that we have seen this year. So it means that they still have potential for them to move up. Secondly, most of them raised capital last year, and interest rates will still remain high. We have seen that. It means it will be positive. Second, number 3 is that the economy is stabilizing and similarly is growing. It means there will be opportunity for them to lend more and make more return. So the banking stocks will do very well. Interest income, fantastic. They will do very well. So it's a sector you must always have. And when the foreign investors come, because of the liquidity, of these stocks, they buy more of the banking stocks because they can sell. If they want to sell 1 billion worth of the stock in 1 day, they can. But those penny stocks, you see the volume, sometimes maybe people don't buy more than 50 million maximum on them. They can't put money in those stocks. Insurance companies, I think I've recorded the top 5 or 6 insurance companies. HICO, Mansard, NEM, Mutual Benefits, Cornerstone, and Custodian. Yeah, so we will see most of these top companies. I'm not saying the penny ones, some of them will not do well, but because we are a bit conservative, you are buying them that you already know they've established. And once they raise capital, they will survive this the recapitalization, and they may even acquire some of the old ones. We're already seeing that they may acquire some of the little ones or acquire their portfolios. So we believe that the insurance company will also do very well. Pharmaceutical, yes, it may look like we missed the game, but a lot of people have benefited from this. Some of the things that are also they will be enjoying is the tax exemption, because they see them as essential materials. Sorry, essential products. So they are not the asset. When they buy fixed assets, they can claim can get exemption rather from tax and the VAT, so they're exempting them from paying VAT. So these are some of the things that will add value to this company, and they're trying to see how we can reduce importation. So a lot of, is it the vitamins that they want to just produce, the normal basic drugs? That in itself has significant market in Nigeria. So that pharmaceutical company, when you see pullback, take advantage of it and just add to your portfolio. When you see pullback, take advantage of it and add to your portfolio. So that's important. Building materials and construction. We know government, real estate, when you look at the real estate space, building, there's deficit, a significant deficit in in housing rather in Nigeria. So there will be demand for their product. When you see their results, by the time Boa Cement, Lafarge, WAPCO, Dangote Cement, when they release their result, you will see. And most times, whatever tax that they are imposing on them, they pass it to the consumer. Dangote Cement has one of the highest margin, about over 50% margin in the world, in the cement space. So that's really very important. And the oil and gas, I'm putting upstream. Upstream are those that refine crude to sell. So they extract the crude. Sorry, they extract the crude, not refine the crude. They extract the crude. The refining is the midstream, rather. So they extract. So you will see the likes of Aradel, Seplat. Oando is in that space, but for those that know me, I try to stay away from Oando. But we can stick with Aradel and Seplat. Aradel, Seplat, their oil production has government is trying to increase oil production, and also there's been stability in that space. A lot of investments are happening within that space now. So that will continue to bring significant opportunities. But the downstream, the marketing with the setup of Dangote Refinery, it has affected that market. Now even the distribution, Dangote is handling it. So you will see the result of Total making a loss. That's for now. But we should also not rule out. So you need to now pay attention to policy. Now they are down. Their share price will go down significantly. When policies begin to favor them, you can begin to increase your opportunity to that space. But for this year, I think we can just stick with the upstream guys. Agric, Presco, Okomu. Yeah, we're seeing some of the speculative ones. Trying to recall some of these FTN Cocoa. Those are like the speculative one, growing Ella Lakes within that space. But the main one, when you look at their margin over 50%, when we say margin over 50%, means that after you have paid all your costs, you are making over 50%. It's significant, and you need to have them. When you look at, though, when you have oil plantation, they generate for 20 years. It's like oil, some for 50 years. So you would see that there's also opportunity. Telecommunications is also important, and the digital economy. So you see likes of Charms, the likes of CWG. They are just really growing. CWG is into software. Charms is already into payments. They are also expanding cross. So there are opportunities for them. Telecommunications, they are still benefiting from the increase in tariff. We've seen what Airtel has released. So we are also we will also be positive. MTN would do better when you see their results, because most people use over 50% use MTN in Nigeria. So they'll make their return. So now we're coming to the US. So we're wrapping up so we can take questions. And please, there's no basic questions. Please ask your questions. You can type it in. I will get to them. Yeah, so you look at the technology and artificial intelligence, you can see what AI is doing. So it's just like it's just beginning. We are seeing the competition, what Google has come up with its own Gemini 3 Plus. You look at Grok for the one for X. Yeah, looking at ChatGPT. So it's almost impossible, and most people is making people more efficient. Sometimes to do a presentation, it may take 4 days, 5 days before to even come up with a pitch. But with this, with your understanding of what market, how the market works, so a lot are going into it. And now, as they are going into this, you look at the value chain. It means that what are the stocks that they will need more power, they need more GPUs, they need, so all these things, this cloud computing, they will need more of all these things, even us, because the AI is not just working on its own. We call it there's what we call the is it artificial learning, the learning language. I've forgotten the terminologies with that, but it's good we look at that. We also look at the financial services. They don't move much, but there are some. So the likes of SoFi, Robinhood, they are providing services. Yes, the JP Morgan, they try to diversify, so they are more defensive. They don't move as much, but it's also good to have them in your portfolio. Healthcare and biotechnology, you need, if you don't understand that area, please just do away with it. A lot of stocks are volatile within this space. You can easily lose money. People buy, they say, okay, we are waiting for FDA approval. So these are areas I've played before years ago, lost thousands of dollars. So I'm saying you are waiting for FDA. They say they don't approve it. They need to go for more study. That stock can go down by 100% in that day once they announce that. So stay away from that. But if you understand that maybe someone has just developed J&J, for instance, the top guys in that space. J&J, for instance, you look at the top guys within that space. They are trying to introduce drugs for cancer. We know how cancer have damaged life. So if they are able to be successful in that space, it's really very important. Let me just use this breakdown. It's easier. Let me quickly start within the artificial intelligence. Microsoft, Nvidia have spoken about that. You need to have Nvidia. They are still the leader. You know, there's also what we call, if you are leading within a space, you have market share. For instance, the time when deep is it deep thinking, or this one is from China that was introduced and it came down, but now we've seen that they are even still depending on their GPUs. So it's important to you look at the ETFs, QQQ. Also, semiconductors within that space. I've told you this ASL, we introduced it in January because when I looked at it, they are providing a lot of support for AIs. They are the power AI data center. They are providing a lot of support. So this one is classified under growth. That's AMD, but ASML is long term, is the leader within the semiconductor space. So I mean, we can look at that. Financial services, JP Morgan, Visa, so doing well. If you want to look at the ETFs within that space, you can also look at it. The health sector, I've spoken about the health sector. Please be very careful. Know what you are buying. You can stick to the leaders, you know, based on the rules of what we are. Just stick to the leaders. The energy space, I think we introduced Chevron in January into or in December into our stock, because the oil space is also very, very important. The consumer discretionary, Amazon is one of the cheapest stocks amongst the Magnificent Seven. It's looking like very dormant now, but they will keep pushing. That's one thing about big companies. It can take 1 year, it can take 2 years. And they're also trying to look at going into AI. You need to have them. Tesla, now it's not just, you don't see Tesla as just an EV company. That's electrical vehicle companies. It's going into a lot of robotics. It's going into space. You need to own some of these stocks in your portfolio. And the last two sets, you look at industrial and infrastructure. Yes, we saw what happened in the last few weeks within that space, and saw that that's also pulled back. But likes of Caterpillar, because of infrastructure space that they are playing, you can also have them in your portfolio. Consumer goods, these are very defensive. Sometimes in 1 year, they may not gain more than 5%, but they pay good dividend. Coca-Cola is always on our list. They pay good. They also pay good dividend. So as we wrap up, you need to understand where you belong to. Are you conservative, moderate, or aggressive? You are conservative. You must have more of ETFs. Yeah, thanks, DeepSeek. Thank you. Yeah, you must have more of ETFs in your portfolio. So that's really very important that you have them in your, and you also had other stocks. Even as you progress, then moderate, you reduce your ETFs. And even if you are aggressive, please have ETFs. The US market is not for the faint-hearted. My own responsibility is also to guide you based on experience. So most of the things I say is not theoretical. I've played, God has taken me through a lot so that I've lost money, but I've learned. I didn't run away. I learned it. I still play in it, but I've seen the best way that it will be tough. The likes of Warren Buffett, I follow their model. It will be tough to lose money. Both the US market, the US market and the Nigerian market, they are almost at all-time high. I'm not trying to scare you, but just remember there will be a period when there will be a major crash. See it as an opportunity, and that's also the excitement that I always see in the community, that we understand. So when market is down, we are not feeling bad. You just take advantage of that and you are buying. When you see them at promo prices and you are buying it. So that's really very, very key. So finally, you need to be patient. It can be very emotional. There was a time I posted on the common regrets in the markets. It can be very emotional. I should have bought, I should have sold, I should have bought more. There are some stock you bought just more and you're seeing 1000%, you are regretting it. Just be patient, learn from it. There will always be opportunity in the stock market. So because one stock has moved, has gone, look for the next opportunity. Stay consistent. Please, the monthly buys helps us to be disciplined. It helps us to be disciplined, and that's why we try to set something aside. Is it 10,000? Is it 5,000? Is it 100,000? Is it 500,000? It helps you on a monthly basis to do that. Then discipline beats emotions. We saw what happened in the life. If we don't learn from it, what happened to gold? Even for me, it was really tempting that why am I not significantly, why didn't I buy more? Why am I not very exposed to this? Can I join now? Can I be very lucky that it will continue? Some people bought on Thursday, and now before the market will recover. Hello, someone is saying they can't hear me. Yeah, so can you please indicate if you can still hear me?
We can hear you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, so discipline is key. Please, this is a terrain that it is not fixed income. It is not like bonds, the return. But I can assure you by God's grace that it can deliver more than double what you get from the fixed income market if you understand it. So try to understand it. And I would also plead, please, some of the posts that we take time to sometimes write it in a story format so that it is not boring to you. You are not trying to figure it out. Try to create time, whether it's once every weekend. Just try to read it, because for us, the passion is we want to see that you have taken action. That's what gives joy. We are doing this based on, this is like I tell people, this is my own calling, that to ensure that within the next 5 years, over 50,000 people understand things about investments. And when you see them, you say, okay, since I met Dr. Ayo, I started investing, I'm learning, and from my portfolio, taking my family abroad is possible. So I'm not trying to sweet talk you. This stock market can deliver value. Seriously, it can deliver value for you, deliver return, and help you live a very, very successful life with God. Thank you so much. And now I will move to the questions and answers. Thank you. Thank you. So let me start with the question. Thanks. So sorry, just a minute. Let me start with the questions. Sorry, I'll stop. Okay, so let me start with this. So I will also take questions for those that are reasonable. Let me start with this. Just reading. Okay. Will this document be available for us after the meeting so we can easily review? That's why it's recorded, because it's also when you listen, it's being recorded, so you can easily follow the presentation. I'm going to share the recorded version, but you give me like a week, I'll download and try to re-upload it. How can I join your community? Okay, will you share the link? Okay, I would share it before we conclude. And if someone can also help share it on this platform, I think the group 6 that I shared if you can help me, that would be great. Also, please, what is the meaning of valuation overstretch? So valuation overstretch means that if a certain company, for instance, is based on value people are placing on it is 10 naira, but maybe other sentiments that you are not even aware of is 10 naira, and other information that we're not aware of, the stock is currently trading at 30 naira or at 20 naira. It is overstretched. So you can't even, like when Ella Lakes moved to almost 19 naira and you see they are still making a loss, you are wondering what are they doing? You see Mikio, he moved to, was almost getting to 120, 130, and I'm looking at their results. Have they discovered gold, or maybe something is happening? So, and if let's say you are seeing 100%, you are not sure that this profit can be sustained, you just take a bit of profit and you move on. What if I'm investing long term, am I obligated to take profit from good performing? No. Like my kids' portfolio, every month I set something aside. No need for profit taking because it's long term. I have long-term portfolio that is on dividends I'll be earning. So you imagine that those that bought Zenith at 15 naira less than 5 years ago, the company is paying dividend of close to maybe 7 naira, or even if it's 7 naira, it means that every year the return on that Zenith Bank is 50%. If some people bought at 50 naira and there will be a time they are paying 10 naira, that's almost 20% return. So you just keep acquiring that, keep acquiring it, and over time, you would see that if you look at Dante Cement paid over 30 naira last year. We're expecting maybe we'll see about 50 naira this year. Assuming you bought at 400, that's almost 20%. Now it's at 620, so maybe it's still less than 10%. But there will be a year that maybe they will pay 100 naira. So just keep buying those good stocks over time. But if you also now see that valuation is overstretched, you see MTN at 1,000. Maybe you want to take profit, but if you don't take profit, it's not even a problem, because when it pulls back from that 1,000 to 800, you can buy more and it will go back. The general advice about long time is to just keep buying consistently regardless. So one thing we also need to note about long term is there's also a need for review. So when you discover that a sector is not performing well, so I said, for instance, Total, the oil and gas, that's the downstream sector, corn oil and the likes, because policy does not favor them again, no subsidy, you sell those stocks. So even if it's long term, sell them off, because there's no point keeping them. You see that policy is changing. If MTN, for instance, they come up with a policy that will affect them in the future, and you hear that the policy will not be favorable to them, you just sell. And maybe you come back in the future. So when you are just buying, don't just forget it. Always review. Be sure that policies have not changed. Be sure that there's still upside when you feel that there's really no upsides, because that's what happened. You see some banks, when you see that their results does not align with what you are comfortable with, sell them and buy those banks that you think you are more comfortable with and keep them. So buying long term, review from time to time. Review your portfolio from time to time, and you take action. Sorry, good evening. And I increase my portfolio. One thing I like about you is your buy and sell. Okay, let's move to the question. Thank you, sir. My goal is long term for retirement. I started investing last year. My concern is that I heard that the stock market are affected during election. How do I do my portfolio? So that period, election period, will come. Start keeping money for that period. If perhaps market comes down, because election, we know in Nigeria, no matter how intense the election is, it will come and we all just continue with what whoever has emerged the winner, and life continues. So that election period, just position, just try your best post and buy more, so that you that are taking the risk during election will benefit more when upside. The foreign guys may be selling, market may be a bit depressed, but see it at period when there are uncertainty. Don't buy more speculative stock. Use it to take advantage of those good stocks that you wish. If I see GT at 60, I say, yes, thank God, I'll buy it. I should be able to get in the next 1 year. GT should be able to pay minimum of 10 naira per dividend. So if my average cost of GTB is 60 naira, it means I'm getting over 12-13% return, apart from the capital gain that may come. Secondly, I have US stocks, but it is not moving like Nigerian stock, which is tempting. For US stocks, that means you are buying very defensive stock, which is good for you. It means it will also not go down at once. But just if it's within the list we have recommended, for most of those stocks, will still do well over time, because I try to review the position. I also try to follow the news. So you can just keep them. They don't move much, but you also know that you're also benefiting if there's a devaluation. So don't get worried. Which 5 stocks will suit my goal for long time? I think I've said that. Aggressive. Okay, with aggressive method. So for aggressive method, it means you should have a bit of more growth stocks. But because you are preparing for retirement, growth stocks should not be more than 30%. If it's for retirement, it should not be more than 30% of your portfolio. Okay, what about election period? So I've spoken about that. I've spoken about my opinion about the insurance space. How do I know which ETFs to buy? So VOO. So we've done their list of ETFs that we already put on and people already know me with VOO. And the reason is you go for what you understand. You've seen how it performed well. If you call me, I can also always find it. Eternal, they are in the downstream space. So I'll say don't expect much from them this period because of the Dangote refinery. Their margin is low. When you look at, I used to cover oil and gas when I was in research years ago. their margin, when you see their margin is less than 5% or 10% in that space, is a thin margin business. So with what is going on, some of them are unable to import directly. Yes, Dangote refinery. Yes, yes, yes. So there's I was discussing with a professional colleague, I think last week, and a lot of investors are really bullish about Dangote refinery. Even for me, I'm also going to buy because the space where it plays is there's a lot of money to be made. So we may see sector rotation. So you will see people selling even good stocks to key into Dangote refinery. So when you hear that it's coming out and you see market is going down, two things: opportunity to buy more because after the offer is gone, market will stabilize, or you sell a bit ahead of the date, the offer. So it's a good, I would recommend Dangote refinery. You know, most times for Dangote stocks, it still holds close to about 90%. So we don't need to persuade him to pay dividend. He's paying himself 90% of that dividend. So if they are paying 500 billion out, he's taking 450 billion, for instance. So he pays out 90%, 95%. There was even a year they paid over 100%. That means they paid all the profits. That's less than 3 years ago, out as dividend and paid from reserves. That means past profits. It's about 110. So partnering with Dangote is always a profitable business. The stock sometimes may not be as liquid as you expect, but if you are long term, you are not bothered. You are after the dividend, and you also see capital appreciation as you progress. How do I get a broker? Yes, you can use different brokers. We have AfroInvest broker, you have Meristem, you have Stanbic, Bamboo is also one of it. So anyone that think work, okay, thanks. Language machine learning. Okay, I'm just saying that. Thank you. Um, in agri business, Ella Lakes to me now is very at this price. I won't touch Ella Lakes. I was from 3 naira. If those that followed were very bullish on it. If you are holding that 3 naira, no need to panic because it can't go back to 3 naira. I have a question in Chams, please. What has changed in terms of fundamentals of the company? I've known. So the company has moved into payments. They have established different subsidiary. Also, they raised money equity last year, which is long-term money, which means that they have long-term funding and they can expand. You know, it's not debt that they need to pay back or pay interest on. So that's really very positive. That's very positive, but you know, I still classify it as a growth stocks. The allocation to growth stocks, you need to also minimize it. Yeah, so what do you think about Access Bank? So like I said, for if you are in Access Bank, you need a patient pill. The bank will still deliver well, but you need patience. They have over 55 billion shares outstanding. So a lot of people have the shares. People are selling, so you need patience. So if I'm the one, I will not get too exposed to it. I will hold other banks, but like the way UBA, there was a time UBA was also discouraging like that, and before we knew it, it did over 100%. So Zenith, and I tell Access, it's good, but Zenith also has good potential. Mansard is good. Ohando, I always stay away from Ohando. Maybe because the more you look at times, if you check their results, the less you see. That's on Ohando. But let's hope they will change over time. But I need to see that consistency. Please, can you share a spreadsheet that we can use to monitor one's portfolio? Do companies still do bonus? Yes, Vitafoam just did the bonus year 1 for 5. Companies still do bonus. Spreadsheet I can use to monitor one's portfolio. I will try to see if I can do that. Maybe, but give me before the end of the month, maybe once in a week, someone should just remind me. Let me try and do something simple, maybe on Google Sheets that we can use. Put your shares, put the costs, then you can see your gain I'll try and see if I can do something, but I don't want to promise. But it's something I would like to do if I'm chanced to do it. Yeah. So thanks so much. I've observed that you do not talk much about Oando despite the space they occupy. Yeah, so sometimes when you see people play in the same sector, so rather than me buying three, Oando plays in that sector, Aradel plays in that sector, Seplat plays in that sector. If I'm ranking, if I want to buy the upstream oil and gas, before I allocate money, I start with Aradel, I start with Seplat. Then secondly, Oando, out of 10 times, they disappoint like 9 times if you have been following that, and it's unpredictable. So if I'm trying to build wealth, long-term wealth, I don't want to gamble with it. It may deliver money to the people say, you see, they've given me 100%. Those that bought it at 100 naira, then I don't know how many years they will hold it again. It's at 40 naira now. You would see a lot of things around that stock. I missed that opportunity of rally. I sold 2 weeks before it rallied, but I have no regret. I've moved on, but at least I didn't lose money. Spoken about getting a broker. What number of stocks? I've spoken about that, the number of stocks someone can have. Can you speak on Access Bank in the next 5 years? Will it do well buying at 23? Yes, I think it will do well. The company, they bought a lot of subsidiaries that should begin to generate assets with generate return within the next 2-3 years. So I still feel they should do well, but you require patience. So you don't put money that you want to quickly take the money out in Access Bank. You need patience. He says, are you able to give a list of fundamental stock per sector mentioned tonight? Yes, so when you check, I will repost. I'm going to do a review of our recommended list again. Sometimes I try to, before I come up with that list, I try to check again what is going on, so that whether to also add new ones or to take out some of those stocks. Yeah, so look at that. Pastor B, thank you. Please, how important is stock rotation within the stock market? Yes, it's really very key. Currently, you would see that a lot of the penny stocks are the one that is being favored. So it looks like if you are not in penny stocks now, people may even be asking you what's going on with your stock performance. It's really, but so you need to look at it by sector, and over time, once in a while, rotate. You sell from one sector that you think is not performing well. I think I spoke about that. If you think like the period when they slammed MTN, that period, people that market, they could not pay dividend. You quickly rotate out, and sometimes reduce, maybe sell at a little profit and move to another sector that I think have potential. Or, as you buy monthly, you are hearing that there's a sector that will be picking up. You have not been patronizing the insurance sector before, and recapitalization has been announced, it's been approved. You can begin to position gradually in that space over time. Or you sell, you see that you are heavy in one sector, you sell a bit and you increase it. Is US market same as Europe? No. It's a different market. So for those in the UK, I know some people use trading so on to that space. The market is doing, but most times the stock fundamentals, so Nvidia listed in the US, operate in the US, can also be listed in the UK. So they operate the same way. Their return is also not capped. So we need to also look at that. What do you think? I think I've spoken about this. The currency risks attached to US stocks as Naira appreciates. How can one the risk? We know that this Naira appreciation is also for a while, and we are not a short-term players. Over time, we know that markets, there will still be an adjustment. Market is appreciating now, fine, but you are not bothered because you are just investing over time. in the market. So if we're talking about fixed income now, you're telling me maybe some people have a lot of dollars and you're wondering, should I convert the dollars to naira? I would say you do it 50-50. Convert 50% from dollar to naira and come ahead, naira return now. But don't convert all. Nigeria sometimes can be unpredictable with all the analysis. A major shock can come. So you also need to still be in dollars. So the appreciation, yes, is good for us, but I don't see it lasting for too long. How can I buy Stanbic? Yes, from AfroInvestor, Stanbic IBTC 30 ETF. Just go to the AfroInvestor app. You will see it. You want to buy ETFs. You also see that. How do you know a stock has reached all-time high? So there's what we use. We call it all share index in Nigeria. All share index. Some people, you see the Nasdaq performance, Dow Jones performance. When you check their performance, you see that they have reached a level they've never reached. So if we say a stock even is at all-time high, you see, let's say GT Bank, it's 120 naira, it's 150 naira. It's never reached that level before. So it means that it's at all-time high. Thanks, Adiola, for the link. As a beginner that doesn't know much about stock, will you recommend expert investors to help me out? I use Bamboo. No, so part of what I think we've been able to achieve today is also that you know what to go and buy. Yes, we are not perfect, and we'll put a caveat that you are also taking your own risk, but you also need to trust that we have also seen how the market, and by God's grace, we have a bit of knowledge about how the market works. We'll never be perfect. We'll never get all 100%, and that's why we are not God. But we have seen how market has performed. Just trust the journey, or trust that we have a bit of understanding about this market. And there's no incentive or something to misinform you. There's nothing I'm benefiting. The fulfillment is that we all make money. And you see, to put something down that people can refer to, you have to do your proper research well. If not, you would even see, we say we're over 5,000 by God's grace in the community. If what we have been recommending does not make sense, or people are losing money every time, you can't be making mistake every time. I expect people to trust you. So just trust the process. Start small as you trust the process, but it's your own risk because it's your money. And I would say most times we had professionally do your own due diligence, but be sure that before we post, we've also done our own part of the due diligence. But for you to let you know that the risk is also on you. So you need to note that. What do you think about the AI bubble and boom? Yes, so for AI bubble, I don't see it happening in 2026. So, and that's part of sector rotation. So over time, if you have made a lot of money in AI, you can reduce it and be going to some sectors that are a bit defensive or that you understand over time. But I don't see a boom. People are just still adopting it. There are a lot of opportunities in it. A lot of people are paying subscription, even for most of those AI. Now, given how they see that it's helping them to be more efficient even in their work. Companies are seeing, I know companies that to write reports, they buy the business AI part because it's about what you want to, if something can help you generate a report in 1 hour rather than doing it for 1 week. That means you can do 5-6 good reports and you make more money than trying to write everything from your head. So that's what AI, so I don't see any bubble this year, but even don't get exposed only to AI stocks, right? So you have to be properly diversified. So I get you share a list of good stocks in the community. So I get confused on how many of these shares or ETFs to hold. Okay. You start with like 5. We are just starting. Maybe we start with 5, you build it to 8, the top ones. So that model portfolio that you are just starting for the first time, GTB, Zenith, Aradel, MTN, Dangote, Cement. You start with that. You now keep building. over time. You mentioned pullback, buying which stock in the market are presently at pullback or promo price. Are pullback or promo price. So I would say that let me think through it. I know Dangote Cement has been consolidating. MTN pulled back. Aradel pulled back from almost 890, but pulled back is also trading at. From that, it went to almost 500 or 600 that we got it. It's pulled back. You see, May and Baker, I don't know if you took advantage, pulled back to over 31. So part of what I will try to do, is I also drop those tips when I see it. If you just focus, if you know you are very busy, just check the announcement page. You don't need to read the main charts. I try to put it down when I'm chanced. Sometimes I'm quiet the whole day or 2 days, depending on work. But I try to put those tips. But once you also understand, if you follow the market, I don't say you have to sit on the market every day. You will see that you see when stock pulled back. May and Baker pulled back from almost 50 to 31 before he moved back to close to about 35 or 40 now. So that's like what we say. You see that some stocks are not easy to sell when you need to sell them. What happens? Yes, illiquidity. So when you're buying those stocks, because you are speculating, everybody have moved on. Liquidity is also very key when you're buying stocks. So most of the stocks we also look at, these are stocks that foreign investors will comfortably buy. And if you're a major investor, you invest a lot of money. You can't be putting 200 million in charms, for instance. You may not be able to sell it in one day. You may sell it at a loss if you are trying to sell. So depending on the volume of money you are putting in will also determine that. So how do I set up an investment account? Yes, for AfroInvest, you are able to manually set up an account. I'm sure that over time, a lot of stockbroking firms will also see how you can set it up online. You know, it's a journey. Before, all these stocks that you are trading by yourself, you send in forms, send in mandates before. But if you complete the form, follow up, complete the form, they give you login details. When you fund it manually, you're able to trade for your kids or by yourself rather. I have a question on charms. Okay, I think I've answered that. So what Aradel, do we keep buying? Yes, Aradel is a good stock. The oil production, we expect that it will be high. What's your view on flour mills? I think it's a good stock, but I need to also check again based on their results. What were the stock recommendations for pharmaceutical? May and Baker is fine. Nemet is fine within that space. Presco, Okomu, agri space. I bought Sterling Public Offer and they are not doing well. Will I sell part? I don't know the quantity. Is it heavy? If it's heavy in your portfolio, you want to reduce it and buy GT Bank, buy I'm still studying Wema Bank because I know they are going into their fintech is working for them. They are trying to see how some interesting things are happening around that, but I still need to study that. Fidelity is the most overvalued bank in Nigeria based on there's what we call multiples. I don't want to go technical. Is the most overvalued bank. So you need to note that, and that's why prices are not moving. They have a lot of shares outstanding. So if you are heavy, you can reduce it. What's the current news? I think we've posted that on First Bank. They made a significant provision, close to about 500 and something billion, which in Q4 they made a loss, but overall their profit was down by 80%. It means dividend will be if they are going to pay, it will be very tiny. How many stock can one have is a portfolio that is not too small? At least start with 5, diversification. I've spoken about Access Kutix, I think into the wire space, long-term speculative. It's long-term and it's speculative. It's on my list of highly speculative stocks and it has to be long-term. What is the right broker to use? I've mentioned that. With the current news, what do you think about the the stock for First Bank, for me, I would stay away. That's personally from First Bank, since there are other banks. It's not like they will not do well. I want to see how people will react to it. I need to see that you are consistent over time because I'm building wealth. I don't want to gamble with it. And also seeing a major investor and seeing what sometimes this major investor, what they do when they enter some of those stocks. It's not based on fundamentals. So the same stocks that moved from over 20 something naira to 50 naira is releasing a loss. So you would see that you can't match it. So, and if you are looking at the banking space, why must it be First Bank? So I'm not saying First Bank may perform well maybe after this provision over time, but when you look at the probability of whether they will do well, I may just want to stay in a stock that I know they will perform well. So that's the way. Please, what is the list of stock we can add for the short term? I don't recommend short term, but those that follow, we've seen that a lot of short term opportunities have come, but professionally, stock market is not for short term. But we feel, yes, market can deliver over short term. Charms, CWG, those are growth stocks. Even the banking stocks have not moved. Their time will come. They are consolidating now. Their time will definitely come. So you buy them, just be patient. Those that are Aradel, people were almost selling Aradel when it was at that 400. It will move to 350, come back for months. But it did over close to about 60% before it pulled back. So patience is key. Please, there are some brokers that do not give CSCS. Isn't true. I think they should, if you check, they give CSCS. And if they are not giving it, then just use a traditional broker directly. Please, where would there be a rebroadcast of it? Yes, I will share the video. How can I buy foreign stocks on the LSE? If you're allowed to open, let's say we trade in 212, for instance, there was a time they allowed Nigerians, but they allowed Nigerians. So because of all this restriction around jurisdictions and stuff, you may need to be a citizen to be able to open an account to trade that. I can't see ETFs. Maybe someone can help with that response. I know people have bought ETFs on AfroInvestor. Then I'll also check it out so that I can guide you. But for those that have done it, maybe ask on the platform so that people will also guide you. NGX Group, a good stock. I've not analyzed it. And one thing we should also note, Dr. Ayo cannot be conversant with all the stocks. Does not mean those stocks that I'm not discussing are bad. But I like to, all the stocks on the list that I recommend, if you ask me questions about them, I follow them, I have information about them. The US market has over 8,000 stocks and recommended 2030 is for me to be able to understand what is going on those stocks. I use a watch list and doesn't mean there are no other good stocks in that market. So that's important for us to note. So that's we also need to look at let me see, FCMB. Their results were fantastic, but okay, NGX, I'm not following NGX much. Yes, I'm not following NGX I'm not following NGX that much. So I would I will just leave that. If I see an opportunity in that, there's a poll that as I'm answering the questions, I want us if we can answer. So that's the final poll for today. Thank you, Pastor B. How can I join? Okay, so that's it. Did I hear you rightly? What should we do about affiliate? You should reduce it. If it has moved, you bought public offer, you've made money. No need to hold it for too long. Don't get, like I started, don't be emotionally attached to a stock. You want to make money. If you think you can reduce the worst case, if you still feel attached, reduce it, sell 50%, go and put the money in a stock. Last week I was out. Sometimes I rotate when there is even market is down. I look at the portfolio and reposition. Even if I need to take mild loss and I see potential in another one, even if it's long term, I just sell it and move on. You can't always see, you can't be right 100%, right? And that is why diversification is key. So you have a stock worth 8, at least 6 should perform very well if you have done everything well. Do we expect pullback in GTB? Yes, there's a news going around on GTB that a major investor is looking at it. Fine, but I also bought last week, also hoping that maybe I'll benefit if it goes up. But if he pulls back, it means I'm buying more. So it's not a gamble. GTB is a strong bank and they'll pay, even if it's dividend I'm getting a loan, I'll just get the dividend and I may look for other opportunities for the short-term portfolio. But for long-term, you buy more and you keep any dividend. How do I sell public offer? Ensure first of all that it's been put on for the public offer. Ensure first of all that you have submitted your CSCS and that has been credited to your CSS account. Do I need to email my AfriInvest broker before buying it here? If you can't find it, also send them emails, brokerage at afriinvest.com, brokerage team at afriinvest.com. You send them CSCS. Is it bad to have more than one CSCS? No, you can have sometimes because platforms can be down. You can have more than one, like the way you have banks, more than one banks. You can have more than one CSCS. And in the market, if you decide that you are not fine with one, you can move your shares from the one that is you think you are fine with and you send it in. So that's really you can always do that. On the average, what are the charges during buying? Average is buying is about 3%, selling is about 3%. That's max. So you need to take that into consideration. Yeah. So I've spoken about this. Do you make out time to teach us? Please, can you make out and teach us on reading financial statements? Okay, I would try. Yes, as much as I can, I would try. What I also plan to maybe this quarter, once in a while during markets, if it's just for 30 minutes, to take questions, because what we want is to people to continue to get more understanding. If I can use my break period 30 minutes, but the notice period will not be long because I also will not want to promise and cancel because other meetings can come up. So we just come, people that have questions, we discuss and we keep learning, because the idea is the more you people get empowered, the more that you also be able to also respond. A lot of people have been supporting, Mr. Yemi, Madam Hassan, Asa. Yes, we see them supporting, responding. Sorry if I have not also mentioned your name, but I appreciate all those that in my absence, sometimes I come back to read. You are also been responding because that's the joy. We want to learn, like I would say, let's learn together, let's invest together, and let's grow together. So it's not just about Dr. Ayo, it's about just seeing us grow. First Bank, will you suggest between Wema? I think I will pick Wema to FCMB. Stanbic IBTC ETF represent the top 30 stocks, top 30 ETFs, and as long as we expect market to go up, but you don't buy one off. When market is down, you buy more so that when market goes up, you benefit. Is it possible to move stuff from one application? No, yes, you can move from one firm to the other. Yeah. So when we buy treasury bills, when it matures, should the payment be feasible Yes, it will be credited to your wallet when your treasury bills mature. It should, depending on how the platform is. Okay, it should. How do I see my CSS number on Bamboo? I'm not familiar with Bamboo, but I'm sure you should be able to see it. Maybe you can send a message to their contact service. Spoken about ETFs, brokerage fee. Okay, people have responded. I haven't received yes, offers take a long time, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months. But you just have to be patient. That's why when offers are not attractive, it is better to buy on the floor. But CIP, even if you are buying, people locked in for the right, you're already 100% up. So just be patient there. And that's why it's long term. You don't put short-term money in stock. So it takes time for allotment. Can I buy the same stock in two platforms? Yes, you will get the dividend. They pay it twice, the same. Yeah, you get them. Sometimes they sum them together. So you can buy that. You can always buy that on the platform. Madam Amina. So I'm just trying to scroll through some of the familiar names that maybe I know. Well done. I see you, Pastor B. Yeah, so I think that this is 9 o'clock. We've been able to Daniel, well done, Cynthia. So I just want to just appreciate us for all this. So if we see, I can look at the poll now. Let me hand this poll so I can share the results. So I'm happy that a lot of people say they will review and rebalance my portfolio. So that's part of what we'll review and balance portfolio. That's really very great. So please let's try and also do that. Please, I will also appreciate that the comments on the things that you have learned should please, if you can drop it on your various WhatsApp group. The reason is it's not for me, it is for others that are not able to join so that they see that it's not a waste of time. Oh, Pastor D. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, so that is not a waste of time. Let's please share some of what we have gained just to encourage. We are trying to build this thing together. It's not about me. By God's grace, the fulfillment is that I meet people. The last time I was doing my PhD convocation in Ibadan, where I went to, someone just came, a member came and said, oh, I've been investing, I'm making money. So that's just the fulfillment. There's really nothing that gives so much joy like that. So please, by God's grace, share your comments on the group. Questions, please ask questions. That is how you can also benefit from the platform. I use Access Bank Statement Management for my stocks. Is that okay? I'm not clear with that question, Sister Ruth. Sorry. Mrs. Ruth, please check. Dividend, yes, I think Access Bank will pay dividend this year. So please, let's keep asking questions, not just about stocks. That's what I would say. Not just about stocks, about mutual fund, about fixed income, high yield savings. You benefit more by asking those questions. And apologies, sometimes there can be delay. I appreciate those that you re-forward or you follow up with me because I receive the crypto market. Yes, I think I respond at times to it. I respond also on crypto. I also invest in crypto, but we are building wealth, so not the speculative ones. So that's part of what I think we'll do. But I want to once again appreciate everyone. Question that we're unable to answer, please, on the platform, just also put them down so that we can allow people enjoy the rest of their Sunday. And I wish us